I want you to think about something for a moment. When was the last time you walked up a flight of stairs and felt completely fine? No gripping the railing, no pausing halfway up, no burning sensation in your thighs that stayed with you for the rest of the day. If you are struggling to remember that moment, I need you to hear something very important. It is not your fault. And more importantly, it is not permanent. My name is Dr. Alina Serratia, and I have spent over 2 decades working with men and women in their 60s, 70s, and even their 90s. I have seen things inside my clinical practice that the mainstream medical world rarely talks about. I have watched people who were told their mobility was gone, permanently gone, walk back into my office months later with a completely different body. Not because of surgery, not because of expensive medication, because of what they ate every single day. What I am about to share with you today changed the lives of hundreds of my patients, and I believe, with everything in my professional experience, that it can change yours too. So I am asking you to stay with me through every word of this, because what I am going to tell you is not what you have been told before. And that difference is everything. Let us start with the biggest lie that older adults are told every single day. You have probably heard it from a doctor. You have probably heard it from a family member. You may have even started to believe it yourself. The lie is this: weak legs are simply a part of getting old. That the body breaks down, muscle disappears, and nothing can stop it. That you just have to adapt. Get a cane, get a walker, lower your expectations. But that is not science. That is surrender, dressed up as medicine. Here is the truth. When I look at populations of people in their 80s and 90s who are still active, still mobile, still living independently, and these populations exist all over the world, the one thing that consistently separates them from people the same age who are struggling is not genetics. It is not luck. It is not some special exercise program they followed for 50 years. It is what they eat. It is the specific nutrients they put into their bodies on a daily, consistent basis. The science on this is clearer than most people realize. Now, I want to walk you through what actually happens inside the body after the age of 60, because once you understand the biology, the solution becomes obvious. After 60, several things shift inside your muscle tissue simultaneously, and most people have no idea this is happening. The first is something called anabolic resistance. This means that even when you eat protein, your muscles do not respond to it the way they once did. Your body becomes less efficient at using the nutrients you give it to build and repair muscle fibers. This alone is a major reason why so many older adults continue losing muscle even when they feel like they are eating well. The second change is a drop in a hormone called IGF-1, which stands for insulin-like growth factor 1. This hormone is essentially the signal your muscles receive to repair and grow. When IGF-1 levels fall, that signal gets weaker. Muscle repair slows, and the breakdown process quietly wins. The third change is something researchers have started calling inflammaging. That is chronic, low-grade inflammation that accumulates in the body with age. It does not feel like a fever or a sore joint necessarily. It simply sits there, silently destroying muscle tissue day after day. And the fourth change is that after 40, the body loses roughly 8% of its muscle mass per decade. After 60, that rate accelerates even further. This is called sarcopenia, and it is one of the leading causes of falls, loss of independence, and reduced quality of life in older adults. But here is what I need you to hold on to. None of this is permanent. The body does not reach a point of no return. The muscle loss is reversible. The inflammation can be reduced. The anabolic resistance can be overcome, and the repair signals can be reactivated. The body, at any age, still has the biological machinery to rebuild. What it needs is the right fuel to do it. And that is exactly what I am going to give you today. I have identified 9 specific foods that address all 4 of these biological changes simultaneously. These are not supplements. These are not powders or pills or anything you need a prescription for. These are whole, real foods that you can find in any grocery store. I ranked them from number 9 all the way down to number 1, from least powerful to the single most impactful food I have ever seen in my clinical practice. And by the time I reach number 1, I think you will understand why so many of my patients call it life-changing. We begin at number 9 with beets. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Beets are just a vegetable. What could they possibly do for muscle strength? The answer lies in something called nitric oxide. Beets are one of the richest natural sources of nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide causes your blood vessels to dilate, which improves circulation throughout the entire body, including directly into the muscles of your legs. When blood flow improves, oxygen delivery improves. And when your leg muscles receive more oxygen, they fatigue more slowly. You can walk further, climb stairs more easily, stand longer without discomfort. I recommend beets roasted, boiled, or even as a cold side dish at dinner. The key is consistency. Even 2 to 3 servings per week makes a measurable difference. At number 8, we have sardines. And before you dismiss them, I want you to hear what sardines contain, because it is one of the most impressive nutritional profiles of any single food. Sardines are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which directly fight the chronic inflammation that destroys muscle tissue. They also contain significant amounts of vitamin D, which plays a critical role in muscle function, and calcium, which supports the bone structure your muscles are literally attached to. In my practice, patients who added sardines just twice a week showed measurably reduced markers of muscle breakdown within 6 to 8 weeks. Canned sardines in olive oil or water are perfectly fine. You do not need fresh ones. Number 7 is eggs. I want to be very specific about why eggs are on this list, because not all protein sources work the same way in an aging body. Eggs contain what scientists call the highest biological value protein of any whole food. This means that the protein in eggs is used by your body with exceptional efficiency. But beyond that, eggs contain a specific amino acid called leucine, which acts like a switch that turns on the muscle building process. Leucine is one of the only nutrients known to partially overcome anabolic resistance. One of my patients, a 73-year-old woman named Margaret, had avoided stairs entirely for 2 years. After adding 2 eggs to her breakfast every morning for 6 weeks, she came back to my office and walked up the staircase in my building without stopping once. She was crying. I was nearly crying too. At number 6, we have Greek yogurt. What makes Greek yogurt particularly powerful for older adults is not just its protein content, although that is significant. It is the type of protein it contains. Greek yogurt is rich in casein, which is a slow-digesting protein that releases amino acids into your bloodstream gradually over several hours. This is critical because muscles do not just need protein at mealtime. They need a steady supply. Beyond the protein, Greek yogurt also contains probiotics that improve the health of the gut microbiome. And here is something most people do not realize. The health of your gut directly affects how well you absorb protein. A damaged or imbalanced gut microbiome means even the protein you do eat may not be reaching your muscles effectively. Greek yogurt addresses both problems at once. Number 5 is spinach. I have prescribed spinach to patients more than any other vegetable in my career, and it consistently delivers results that surprise even my most skeptical patients. Spinach contains a compound called EC-disterone, which has been shown in research to have genuine muscle growth promoting properties. Beyond ecdysterone, spinach is rich in magnesium, which is essential for muscle contraction and nerve signaling, iron, which supports oxygen delivery to muscle tissue, and potassium, which helps prevent cramping and supports the electrical activity that makes your muscles actually move. A large handful of spinach, sautéed in olive oil with garlic, takes less than 5 minutes to prepare. I eat it myself at least 4 times per week. At number 4, we have sweet potatoes. The relationship between energy and muscle function is something that gets overlooked constantly in discussions about aging and strength. Your muscles need fuel to contract, and the type of fuel matters enormously. Sweet potatoes provide a steady, slow-releasing source of glucose that feeds what are called slow-twitch muscle fibers. These are the fibers responsible for balance, posture, and sustained movement, exactly the things that deteriorate first in older adults. One of my patients, a 79-year-old gentleman named Harold, had been shuffling when he walked for nearly 3 years. His family had started discussing whether it was time for a care facility. After 12 weeks of adding sweet potatoes to his dinner 4 nights per week, alongside other dietary changes, Harold was walking with a normal gait again. His daughter sent me a video. He was walking through his garden. I keep that video on my phone. Number 3 is walnuts. Walnuts contain a specific combination of omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and polyphenols that do something particularly remarkable for aging muscle tissue. They activate what are called satellite cells. Satellite cells are essentially stem cells that live within your muscle tissue. They are the repair crew. When muscle fibers sustain damage from daily activity, satellite cells are supposed to activate, divide, and repair those fibers. But in aging bodies, this process slows dramatically. The compounds in walnuts have been shown to reactivate this satellite cell response. They also significantly reduce oxidative damage in muscle tissue, which is one of the drivers of accelerated physical decline. A small handful of walnuts in the afternoon is enough. You do not need large amounts. You need consistency. At number 2, we have wild salmon. If there is one food I would put on a prescription pad if I could, it would be wild salmon. It combines high-quality, complete protein with the highest concentration of anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids of virtually any food on Earth. It also contains a compound called astaxanthin, which is a carotenoid that protects the mitochondria inside your muscle cells. Mitochondria are the energy-producing units of every cell in your body. When mitochondria in muscle cells are damaged or inefficient, the muscles themselves become weak and slow to recover. Astaxanthin has been shown to protect these energy systems in a way that few other nutrients can replicate. I had a patient, a 71-year-old woman named Rose, who had been declining steadily for 4 years. She had stopped driving herself to appointments. She was relying on her son for basic tasks around the house. After 18 weeks of consistent dietary changes with wild salmon at the center, Rose drove herself to my office. She walked in carrying her own bag. She told me she had started cooking dinner again for the first time in 2 years. And now we reach number 1. The most powerful food I have discovered for reversing leg weakness in older adults. And it is one that almost nobody associates with muscle strength. It is cottage cheese. I understand that this surprises most people, but let me explain the science, and it will make complete sense. Cottage cheese is extraordinarily high in casein protein. As I mentioned earlier with Greek yogurt, casein is a slow-digesting protein, but cottage cheese contains it in concentrations far higher than yogurt. When you eat cottage cheese in the evening, it begins digesting slowly and releases amino acids into your bloodstream throughout the night for up to 7 hours. This is critical because muscle repair does not happen at the gym or at the dinner table. It happens while you sleep. And for most older adults, the nighttime period is a catastrophic window of muscle loss because there is no nutritional support coming in. Muscles are literally breaking down all night with no repair signals arriving. The research supporting nighttime protein consumption for older adults is remarkable. Studies have shown improvements in leg strength of up to 47% when slow digesting protein is consumed consistently before sleep. I had an 82-year-old patient named Dorothy who had been using a walker for over a year. Her doctor had told her to accept her situation. Dorothy started eating half a cup of cottage cheese every single night before bed. Within 8 weeks, she no longer needed the walker for short distances. Within 4 months, she called my office to tell me she had danced at her granddaughter's wedding. I will never forget that phone call for as long as I practice medicine. Now let me give you a practical framework for bringing all 9 of these foods into your daily life. Because information without implementation changes nothing. In the morning, I want you to eat eggs with spinach. Scrambled, poached, however you enjoy them. 2 eggs with a generous handful of spinach takes less than 10 minutes. In the afternoon, a small handful of walnuts with a serving of Greek yogurt gives you anti-inflammatory compounds, slow-release protein, and gut-supporting probiotics, all in one simple snack. At dinner, wild salmon or sardines with roasted sweet potato and a side of greens covers your protein, your anti-inflammatory omega-3s, your muscle-fueling carbohydrates, and your micronutrients. And then, and this is the part that separates people who get results from people who do not, a serving of cottage cheese before bed. Every single night. This nighttime step is the most important habit I can give you. When you follow this plan consistently, here is what you can realistically expect based on my clinical experience. Within 3 days, most people notice better energy overall. The cellular support begins immediately. Within 1 week, morning stiffness typically begins to ease. The chronic inflammation starts to quiet. Within 2 weeks, movement becomes noticeably easier. Getting up from chairs, climbing stairs, walking from the parking lot, these things require less effort. And within 1 month, most people experience genuine, measurable improvement in leg strength. Not dramatic transformation overnight, but real, undeniable progress that you can feel every single morning when you stand up. I do want to address 3 mistakes I see people make that prevent them from getting the results they deserve, because I would be doing you a disservice if I did not mention them. The first mistake is skipping nighttime nutrition. People eat reasonably well during the day and then give their muscles nothing to work with for 7 to 8 hours overnight. This single gap undoes enormous amounts of potential progress. The second mistake is relying entirely on supplements instead of whole food nutrition. Supplements have a role, but they cannot replicate the complex, synergistic chemistry of whole foods. The casein in cottage cheese behaves differently in your body than protein powder. The omega-3s in wild salmon come packaged with astaxanthin and B vitamins in a way that no capsule can fully replicate. And the third receptor C, di. This is the most common one. People try these foods for a week, feel better, and then life gets busy and the habits fall apart. Muscle rebuilding is a process. It requires sustained nutritional support. 3 days of good eating cannot override years of deficiency. But 3 consistent months absolutely can transform your strength. I want to leave you with something that I believe more deeply than almost anything else I have learned in medicine. Your body is not broken. I need you to hear that clearly. What you have been told, that weakness after 60 is simply what happens, that nothing can be done, that this is just your life now, is not true. What is true is that your body has been operating without the specific nutrients it needs to maintain and rebuild muscle tissue. That is a problem of supply, not a problem of capacity. Supply it correctly and watch what your body does. I have seen it happen too many times to doubt it for even a moment. The people who remain strong and mobile into their 80s and 90s are not genetic outliers. They are not unusually disciplined athletes. They are people who have, whether by design or by cultural habit, continued feeding their muscles what those muscles require to do their job. You now know exactly what those foods are. You now know why each one matters, what it does inside your body, and how to fit it into your daily routine. The only thing standing between you and stronger legs is starting tonight. And tonight starts with a simple bowl of cottage cheese before you go to sleep. That is where the healing begins.